Coming this week to RealCatholicTV.com, CIA Catholic Investigative Agency, Rebellion in the Church. At last, an explanation of what has gone so wrong in the Catholic Church the last 50 years. The abuses at Mass, the sex scandals, the loss of faith at Catholic schools and universities, the desertion of so many priests and religious. How did it all happen, and what is the answer to the rebellion in the Church? Stay tuned to RealCatholicTV.com this week for CIA Catholic Investigative Agency.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Sometimes it seems as though we're living in some kind of crazy repeat movie loop. Last year, right about this time, the United States bishops came under heavy fire from lay Catholic groups for allocating money taken up in an annual collection to community organizing groups that either directly support or partner with other groups that promote abortion, contraception, same-sex marriage, prostitution, etc. Of course, the attacks from the leftist staffers at the bishops' conference were loud and diversionary. The lay Catholic groups were called mean-spirited, uncharitable, divisive, single-minded, lacking in concern for the poor. The annual collection we're talking about specifically is the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, also known as the CCHD. It's traditionally taken up the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and that's the case this year as well. All the hullabaloo has caused quite a stir. Lay staff at the bishop's headquarters spun the reports as personal attacks and never really answered the charges, other than to simply not be totally forthcoming with the facts. Much of what came out of the bishop's headquarters simply was not truthful, but the people in charge of the CCHD collection did promise to conduct an internal investigation and issue some tighter guidelines, a review process. That's good, except it's like putting Al Capone in charge of law enforcement. What was produced was a largely defensive document saying most of the charges by lay Catholic groups were baseless, not true by the way, but that nevertheless a concerted effort would be undertaken to see if existing standards about what groups would be given grant money could be shored up somehow. Which brings us to today. One of the groups that was praised in the review and renewal document is the CIW, the Coalition of Imaloki Workers. From its webpage, it is self-described as a, quote, community-based organization of mainly Latino, Mayan Indian, and Haitian workers working in low-wage jobs throughout the state of Florida, end quote. What the page does not tell you, and neither does the document released in the name of the bishops, is that CIW also participates with other groups in, you guessed it, promoting abortion. CIW was one of the participants in the U.S. Social Forum 2010. The forum is a massive gathering of community organizing groups that's held annually. This latest one happened this last summer right here in Detroit. The forum ran an assortment of workshops, some of which were entitled Maintaining Abortion as a Reproductive Right for Low-Income People, Reproductive Justice in the Age of Obama, and Reproductive Justice 101. Now, as you might gather, those workshops promote ideas that go right against Catholic teaching, and standing right in the middle of the forum is CIW, a group that the bishop's document praises and lifts up as an example of the great work that CCHD is doing. So step back here, big picture for a second. The Bishops' Conference hands out tons of money to groups which directly or indirectly support abortion. They get an avalanche of protests because of this. They respond to the protests saying, well, they're not true. They agree to an internal review and publish a document that praises a pro-abortion group as a model of the fine work they do at the Bishops' Conference. Now, is it just me, or is this like some drug-induced journey through Alice in Wonderland's version of reality? Look, either the staff at the CCHD is either incredibly, remarkably incompetent, or they're just going to force their misguided compromise with an evil socialist agenda down our throats one way or the other. After spending a full year, denying that they fund groups who are abortion supporting, they produce a document supporting a group that is abortion supporting. And here's the real kicker. The bishops want the collection taken up this year before the full list of grantees is released. Yep, you heard right. Come on, Catholic sheep, throw your money in the basket, and then we'll tell you who we're going to give your money to after we have it. And by the way, this progressive social justice pro-abortion group, we think it's really splendid and a shining example of the work we support here at the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. No thanks. The bishops either need to release the list of who is getting your money ahead of time or delay the collection. The CCHD office has had massive credibility issues from its earliest beginnings back in the late 1960s when it was established by Saul Alinsky sympathetic priests and backed by liberal modernist churchmen like Cardinal Joseph Bernardine and Father Theodore Hesburgh at Notre Dame. Nope, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, you're not gonna. Either produce the list before the collection, delay the collection, or no money. Catholics need to begin to understand that much is done in the name of the Church that is actually antithetical to the teachings of the Church, even by people highly placed in the Church. Now, if you're sitting in the pews and this collection comes around without any good explanation of where the money goes, besides the ambiguous and vague phrase to help the poor or social justice, reconsider where you drop your check. There must be a good local crisis pregnancy center, for example, where you can be certain your money will be used for the right moral choice. In the meantime, we suggest that you check out our first installment of CIA, Catholic Investigative Agency, entitled Saul Alinsky and the Bishops. It is a revealing expose on the connection between community organizer Saul Alinsky and the U.S. Bishops' Conference. And yes, you can be certain this is exactly the type of information that liberals and progressives in the Church don't want you knowing. You can get to it by clicking on the link right over here. God bless you. I'm Michael Voris.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.